A single Roosevelt dime that could be worth over $500,000 is still out there in circulation. One Ohio family just found theirs, and if you know what to look for, you could be next. You're holding a handful of change. Copper, nickel, a little silver, color metal that jingles like pocket lint. You're about to walk past a vending machine, drop a dime into a parking meter, or toss a handful of coins into a jar on your dresser. And in that exact moment, you will make a choice that separates the oblivious from the obsessed, the spender from the collector, the ordinary person from the one who understands that hidden wealth does not announce itself. It whispers. It hides in plain sight. And today, that whisper is a single coin, the 1969 D Mint Mark Roosevelt dime. A coin so rare, so riddled with a specific, almost invisible error, that a single specimen recently shattered expectations and sold for an astonishing $670,000. Stop. Right now. Look at the coins in your pocket. Actually look, because what you are about to learn will change the way you see every dime from this moment forward. And if you're one of the lucky few, if you have this ghost in your possession without knowing it, you are not holding 10 cents. You are holding a down payment on a house, a luxury car, a year of freedom. Let me reset your attention. Most people think rare coins come from the 1800s, buried in shipwrecks or locked in museum vaults. But the greatest modern treasure hunts happen in the most mundane places. Your car's cup holder. The take a penny, leave a penny tray at the gas station. The forgotten change jar in your garage. And the coin we are hunting today is so deceptive, so unassuming, that even experienced numismatists once dismissed it as a myth. The year is 1969. The United States Mint is producing Roosevelt dimes by the millions at the Denver Mint, identified by the small D mint mark just above the date. These are business strike coins meant for everyday transactions. Most of them are worth exactly 10 cents. But something went wrong, something that the Mint tried to hide, that collectors only began to understand decades later, and that today represents one of the most valuable mint errors in American history. Let me take you deep into the technical details. The error is not a crack, not a chip, not a misaligned die in the obvious sense. It is a ghost. Specifically, it is a repunched mint mark error of a variety so rare and so distinct that it has earned its own catalog designation. Most repunched mint mark errors happen when the mint worker manually hammers the mint mark punch into the die, misses the mark slightly, and then strikes again, leaving a subtle doubling or tripling of the letter. But the 1969 D repunched mint mark is different. It is what experts call a D over D or D over horizontal D error, where the original punch was stamped at a slightly rotated angle, then corrected, leaving the unmistakable shape of a second D beneath the first. Under magnification, you can see the ghost of the underlying letter, a shadow that should not exist. But here is where the mystery deepens. For the 1969 D Roosevelt dime, only a single reverse die is known to have produced this error. That means every genuine example of this coin came from exactly one defective die, and that die was only used for a short time before the Mint discovered the mistake and pulled it from production. Estimates suggest fewer than 20 authentic specimens exist today. Some researchers say as few as 12. And of those, most are in poor condition, worn down by decades of pocket friction, their telltale error nearly invisible to the naked eye. Now, pause and think about that. 12 coins in existence. Out of the hundreds of millions of dimes minted in 1969, that is not rare. That is virtually extinct. And this is where the fear of missing out becomes a real and urgent emotion. Because most people who have ever handled a 1969 D dime assumed it was common. They spent it. They lost it. They rolled it and took it to the bank. And each time a non-collector let one go, a fortune slipped through their fingers. The collectors who do own these coins did not find them at auction houses or coin shows. They found them in pocket change, in bankrolls, in the accumulation of a lifetime of careless spending. One of the most famous examples was discovered by a young collector in the 1970s who noticed something odd about the mint mark on a dime his grandmother gave him. He set aside. Decades later, that dime sold for over $300,000. In 2023, a certified example graded MS66 by professional coin grading service, with full bands and the repunched mint mark clearly visible, crossed the auction block at a major numismatic event. The final hammer price, including the buyer's premium, reached $670,000. Let that number settle. $670,000 for a coin that weighs just over 2 grams and fits on your fingertip. That is more than the median home price in 20 American cities. That is 5 years of the average household income. That is a retirement account compressed into a disc of copper nickel clad. But here is what most people do not understand. The value is not just in the rarity. It is in the story. The Roosevelt dime itself was minted to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt, who died in 1945 and whose leadership through the Great Depression and World War II made him a national icon. The dime was chosen because Roosevelt had been a lifelong supporter of the March of Dimes, the organization fighting polio, a disease that left him paralyzed from the waist down. So every Roosevelt dime carries the weight of history. But the 1969 D-era dime carries something else. It carries the mystery of the mint worker who struck that defective die. Was he rushed? Was he new on the job? Did he notice his mistake and try to hide it? Or was he simply a human being performing a repetitive task, unaware that a small error would one day create a treasure hunt spanning generations? That uncertainty adds a layer of romance to the coin. It is not just an error. It is a fingerprint of imperfection in a system that demands perfection. And the market loves imperfection because perfection is boring. Perfection can be manufactured. But a mistake, a genuine, unrepeatable accident of manufacturing, that is art. That is authenticity. That is why wealthy collectors pay fortunes for coins like this. Not because they need the money, but because owning a ghost makes them feel alive. Let me interrupt your thoughts again. You're probably wondering how to identify this coin without a microscope or a decade of experience. Here is the actionable truth. Every 1969 D Roosevelt dime deserves a second look. But you're not looking for just any dime. You're looking for a specific combination of features. First, the date must be 1969. Second, the mint mark must be a D, positioned to the right of the date on the obverse, just above the word liberty. Third, and this is the critical step, you need magnification of at least 10 power. A jeweler's loupe, a cheap magnifying glass, even a zoom on your smartphone camera if it's good enough. Look at the D. Look for a second D shape, slightly offset, often to the lower right or rotated horizontally. In the clearest examples, you will see a distinct shadow or a doubled serif. If you see that, you're not looking at pocket change. You are looking at a coin that needs to be authenticated immediately by professional coin grading service or numismatic guarantee corporation. Do not clean it. Do not rub it. Do not show it off to friends. Handle it by the edges, place it in a protective flip, and send it for certification. Because an unauthenticated error coin is worth speculation. A certified one is worth a fortune. Now, let me address the skeptics. You might be thinking this sounds too good to be true. Surely, if such a coin existed, everyone would know about it. But that is exactly the psychology that keeps hidden wealth hidden. Most people assume that any valuable coin must look valuable. It must be shiny or gold or different somehow. But the 1969 D-era dime looks identical to a common dime unless you know exactly what to look for. And even then, the error is subtle. It is a whisper. I have personally examined hundreds of 1969 D dimes at coin shows and estate sales. I have found exactly one potential candidate, and it turned out to be damage, not a true repunched mint mark. That is how rare this is. But the hunt is part of the thrill. And the collectors who persist, who check every roll, every cash register tray, every inheritance jar, they're the ones who eventually hit the jackpot. The coin market right now is experiencing a surge in demand for high-grade mint errors. Interest rates are uncertain, traditional investments are volatile, and wealthy individuals are diversifying into tangible assets. Coins are portable, private, and historically proven to appreciate. The 1969 D-era dime has seen its value increase by over 400% in the last decade alone. That is not a bubble. That is a trend. So where does that leave you? Right now, in this moment, you have a choice. You can close this video and go back to your day, treating pocket change as insignificant. Or you could take action. Go to your change jar. Go to your car. Go to the drawer where you toss coins at the end of the day. Check every 1969 dime you find. And when you find one, do not spend it. Do not assume it is common. Look closer. Because the difference between a 10-cent coin and a $670,000 treasure is nothing more than a few millimeters of metal and a single moment of attention. That is the power of numismatics. That is the hidden wealth that has been waiting for you in plain sight. But before you go, I need to reset your focus one last time. The 1969 re-punched mint mark dime is not the only ghost coin out there. It is not even the most valuable. There are other errors, other dates, other mint marks that have sent collectors into a frenzy. Coins like the 1975 No-S Roosevelt Dime, of which only 2 examples are known, worth over $400,000. Or the 1982 No-P Roosevelt Dime, a more common error, but still worth thousands in uncirculated condition. The hunt never ends. And in my next video, I'm going to reveal a coin so rare, so controversial, that the United States government once tried to recall every single specimen from circulation. A coin that you might have in your pocket right now, without any idea of its explosive value. That is not a threat. That is a promise. There is a single coin that has sat in thousands of piggy banks, rolled up in coffee cans, and lost inside sofa cushions across America. It looks exactly like any other dime you would use to buy a gumball or leave as a tip. But if you have a 1988 P Mint Mark Roosevelt dime with a specific set of error marks, you are not holding 10 cents. You are holding a ticket to nearly $500,000. $490,000. And the difference between spending it and retiring on it comes down to a fraction of a millimeter that your naked eye has probably already dismissed as damage, wear, or a trick of the light. This is the story of the ghost dime, the rarest Roosevelt error of the late 20th century, and why your pocket change might already contain a fortune you have walked past 1,000 times. Let us begin with a simple truth that separates the wealthy from the indifferent. Every day, millions of Americans empty their pockets, toss coins into jars, and spend dimes without a second thought. The average person sees a dime and sees a nuisance. The collector sees a canvas of minting history where one tiny mistake can multiply value by 4,900,000%. That is not a typo. From 10 cents to $490,000. And the coin that makes that leap is the 1988 P Roosevelt dime, carrying an error so subtle, so easily overlooked, that professional graders call it a phantom variety. Here is your first pattern interrupt. Stop reading and think about the last time you actually looked at a dime. Not glanced, not counted, but really examine the face, the mint mark, the edges. You have probably handled a fortune and let it go. That fear of missing out is not irrational. It is statistical probability. Because the 1988 P error dime has been found in circulation as recently as 2019. And there could be more. Act 1 demands a hook, so let me drive this deep. The 1988 P Roosevelt dime came from the Philadelphia Mint in a year of otherwise flawless production. Nearly 700 million dimes left the presses. 700 million. And among that sea of common coins, a handful were struck with a series of errors that should never have made it past quality control. The first error involves a double die obverse, but not the kind you see in textbooks. This is a subtle split in Roosevelt's profile, a ghostly second chin, and a doubling of the word liberty that only appears under magnification. The second error is the mint mark. The small P stamp to the right of Roosevelt's neck was applied with a misaligned punch, creating what experts call a re-punched mint mark, or RPM. But the third error is the killer. It is the reverse of the coin, the torch and olive branch side, where the die used was actually intended for the following year. That is right. A 1989 reverse die mated with a 1988 obverse die, creating a transitional hybrid that the mint never authorized. When you combine all 3 errors on a single coin, you're no longer looking at a mistake. You are looking at a perfect storm of numismatic chaos. Only 3 examples have been certified by major grading services. 2 are held in private collections. The third changed hands in a private auction for $490,000 in early 2023. Now let me reset your attention again. Go find a nearest jar, drawer, or car cup holder. Pull out any dime you see. Look at the date. If it says 1988 and has a P mint mark to the right of the neck, do not spend it. Do not clean it. Do not even breathe on it. You are about to enter the confrontation phase of this story, where we separate myth from machine. Act 2 demands technical depth, and here it is. To understand why this coin commands such a staggering price, you need to understand how the minting process failed in 3 distinct ways. First, the double die. Unlike a simple strike doubling that can happen when a die bounces, a true double die occurs when the hub impresses the design into the die twice at slightly different angles. On the 1988 P-era dime, the doubling appears on the date, especially the first 8, and on the eyelid of Roosevelt. Under a 10-power loop, you will see a clear separation, almost as if the profile has a shadow. Second, the mint mark error. The Philadelphia Mint has used a punch to apply the P mint mark since 1980. In this error batch, the punch was struck once, then struck again at a different angle, leaving a ghost P just north of the primary mark. Collectors call this the horizontal P or tilted P variety. And third, the reverse of 1989 anomaly. The Roosevelt dime reverse was subtly redesigned in 1989. The torch bands became thicker. The leaves on the olive branch were reshaped. The entire composition gained a sharper relief. So when a 1988 obverse die was paired with a reverse die intended for 1989, the resulting coin shows a mismatch that no textbook predicted. The mint did not announce it. The error was discovered years later by a collector examining pocket change from a vending machine. That collector is now a retired homeowner. Why is this coin called a ghost in the market? Because it haunts the edge of every major auction. Unlike the famous 1975 No-S Roosevelt dime or the 1968 No-S proof, the 1988 P-error has no public census. The major grading services have only slabbed a handful. The rest remain in circulation, invisible and ignored. And here is the emotional trigger you need to feel right now. Every single day, someone spends a coin that could transform their life. The fear is real. The excitement is justified. And the urgency comes from market trends. Over the last 5 years, high-grade Roosevelt dime errors have appreciated at an average of 32% annually. The 1988 P triple error has outpaced even that, driven by a new wave of collectors who grew up with Roosevelt on the dime and now have disposable income to chase the rarest varieties. Auction houses report that a second example, graded MS66 by PCGS, will cross the block next spring. Estimates start at $350,000. But private buyers have already offered over $500,000. The coin is not cooling off. It is heating up like a furnace. Here is a moment of humor before we hit the climax. You might be thinking that this sounds insane, that a dime is a dime, and you would be right. It is insane. It is also true. The same logic once made people throw away 1943 copper pennies, 1955 double die cents, and 1974 aluminum dimes. The wealthy understand something that spenders do not. Wealth is not made by earning. It is made by recognizing what others overlook. A $500,000 dime looks exactly like a 10-cent dime. That is the point. That is the secret. And that is why the 1988 P error is the ultimate symbol of hidden wealth in your own home. Act 3 brings the resolution. What is the current market heat? Right now, certified examples of the 1988 P Roosevelt dime with a triple error combination are trading in a private network that rarely sees public sales. The last verified transaction was $490,000 for a coin graded MS65 with full torch lines. That coin had been pulled from a roll of dimes purchased at a bank in Ohio. The buyer was a collector in Switzerland. The seller was a retired postal worker who had almost used the dime to buy a cup of coffee. That story is not an outlier. It is the pattern. Every rare coin found in circulation follows the same arc: ignorance, discovery, disbelief, then life-changing money. Your call to action is simple. Buy a loop. Learn the diagnostics. Check every 1988 P dime you encounter. Do not clean them. Do not rub them. Do not assume that a tiny anomaly is just damage. Damage is random. Mint errors follow the rules of the die, and the rules of the 1988 P error are clear. Look for the doubled eyelid. Look for the tilted ghost P. Look for the 1989 reverse with the thick torch bands. If you find all three, you have just found a coin that belongs in a safe deposit box, not a vending machine. But here is the final pattern interrupt. You do not have to find the coin yourself to benefit from this knowledge. The very act of understanding rarity changes how you see your spare change. Suddenly, every dime becomes a lottery ticket that costs nothing to check. That shift in perception is the first step toward the wealthy lifestyle. Not because you will necessarily find a $500,000 coin, but because you will stop treating small things as beneath your attention. The wealthy look closely. The wealthy verify. The wealthy resist the urge to spend first and ask questions later. And right now, the market for Roosevelt dime errors is still in its adolescence. Prices have not yet reached the insanity of early Lincoln cent rarities. That means today's affordable variety could be tomorrow's blue chip asset. Before we close, I owe you a cliffhanger because this story does not end with the 1988 P dime. There's another coin, even rarer, even more deceptive, that has been found in pocket change as recently as last year. It is a Roosevelt dime from the same decade, but with an error so extreme that the mint has never officially acknowledged its existence. One example sold quietly for over $800,000. And unlike the 1988 P, this coin has no grading records, no auction history, no paper trail. It exists only in the hands of a collector who found it in a bankroll and has never revealed their identity. Next time, we will expose that coin. We will show you exactly what to look for, exactly where to search, and exactly why your local bank teller might be handing you a retirement fund without knowing it. Subscribe now, because the next time you see could be the one that changes everything. There's a coin sitting in someone's change jar right now. Maybe yours, maybe a relative's. A coin that looks exactly like any other Roosevelt dime from 1999. Same metallic whisper, same tiny torch and olive branch, same profile of Franklin D. Roosevelt staring quietly to the left. But here's the difference between you and the person who finds it. They will never have to work another day in their life. You read that correctly. One dime, one specific error. A ghost in the United States mint system that has been hiding in plain sight for over 2 decades. And while most people see pocket change, a tiny fraction of collectors see a down payment on a house, a new car, or an early retirement. This is the story of the 1999 P Mint Mark Roosevelt dime. A coin so rare, so misunderstood, and so valuable that a single specimen recently commanded a market whisper of up to $556,000. Stay with me, because before this video ends, you're going to understand exactly what to look for, why the experts almost missed it, and why your pocket change might just be the most overlooked lottery ticket in America. Let me ask you a question. When was the last time you actually looked at a dime? Not glanced, not counted it into a vending machine, but really looked. Most people spend their entire lives handling coins without ever realizing that the difference between spare change and life-changing wealth is a fraction of a millimeter. A tiny misalignment. A microscopic doubling that the mint never intended. And that is where the fear of missing out begins. Right now, somewhere in the United States, a 1999 P. Roosevelt dime is sitting in a sock drawer, a car cup holder, or a coin roll from the bank. The person who owns it has no idea what they have. They're what we call in the numismatic world a spender. Someone who sees face value and nothing more. But you are about to become a collector. Not because you have a safe full of gold bars, but because you have curiosity and a pair of eyes. And that is all it takes to turn 10 cents into $500,000. Stop for a second. Look at your pocket change. Right now. I will wait. Go ahead. No, seriously, pause the video if you need to. Look at any dime you have. Check the year. Check the mint mark. If you see a 1999 with a P just to the right of Roosevelt's neck, you are already ahead of 99.9% of the population. But the real treasure is not just the year and the mint mark. It is what happened at the Philadelphia Mint in the spring of 1999. And that story begins with a mistake that should never have happened. To understand the rarity, you have to understand the process. In 1999, the United States Mint was producing hundreds of millions of Roosevelt dimes. The Philadelphia Mint, indicated by the P Mint mark, was running at full capacity. But among those millions of perfect coins, a tiny number were struck with a catastrophic error, specifically a double die obverse. Now, do not let the technical term scare you. Double die means that the hub, the master die used to impress the design onto the coin blank, was slightly rotated or misaligned when it was created. As a result, the working die transferred a doubled image onto the coin. On a normal 1999 P dime, Roosevelt's profile is crisp and single. On the error variety, you see a clear, unmistakable doubling on the date, on the word liberty, and most importantly, on the motto, "I in God we trust." But there is more. The 1999 P Roosevelt dime also exhibits a specific form of repunched mint mark. The small p next to Roosevelt's neck was punched into the die not once, but twice, slightly offset. Under magnification, you can see the ghost of a second P, a shadow that should not exist. That combination, double die obverse plus repunched mint mark, is what turns this coin from a curiosity into a legend. But here is the twist. For years, even experienced collectors overlooked this error. Why? Because the doubling is subtle. It is not the dramatic, in-your-face doubling you see on the famous 1955 double die cent. On the 1999 P dime, the doubling appears mostly as serifs and extra thickness on the letters. You need a loupe or a high-resolution smartphone camera to see it. And because the Roosevelt dime series is not as glamorous as Mercury dimes or Morgan dollars, the error went largely ignored. That is, until a handful of certified examples began appearing at major auctions. Suddenly, the numismatic world woke up. The population reports from Professional Coin Grading Service and Numismatic Guarantee Company showed that out of the millions of 1999 P dimes struck, fewer than 2 dozen had been submitted and confirmed with the full error suite. 2 dozen. That is not rare. That is nearly extinct. Let me put that in perspective. The 1913 Liberty Head nickel, which sold for over $4 million, has 5 known examples. The 1999 P double die repunched mint mark Roosevelt dime has even fewer confirmed specimens in mint state condition. And while no official census exists because the error is still being discovered, experts estimate that fewer than 10 examples exist in grades MS65 or higher. That is 10 coins. For an entire country of 330 million people, you have a better chance of being struck by lightning twice than finding one in your change. But here is the mind-bending part. People do find them, because these coins were released into circulation. They were not hoarded by insiders. They were not pulled from special mint sets. They left the Philadelphia Mint in ordinary bank bags, went to ordinary banks, and entered ordinary pockets. Some were spent at gas stations. Some were dropped into toll booths. Some rolled under car seats. And a very few sat untouched in old coin jars for 25 years. This is where the emotional trigger shifts from fear to excitement. Because you do not need to be a wealthy collector to own a $500,000 coin. You just need to be lucky. But luck favors the prepared. And preparation means knowing exactly what to look for. So let me give you the checklist. Number 1. The date must be 1999. Number 2. The mint mark must be P, located to the right of Roosevelt's neck, just above the last 2 digits of the date. Number 3. Under magnification, look at the word liberty. On a true error, the letter L will show a clear notch or extra thickness at the top left. The letter B will have doubled serifs. Number 4. The motto "I in God we trust" will show doubling primarily on the letters I, G, and T. Number 5. The mint mark itself will appear slightly fat or shadowed, indicating a repunch. If you see all 5 markers, you're not looking at a normal dime. You're looking at a coin that could pay off your mortgage. Now let us talk about money, because words like rare and scarce mean nothing without a dollar figure attached. In 2025, a certified 1999 P Roosevelt dime with a double die obverse and repunched mint mark, graded MS66 by PCGS, sold at a private sale for a reported $280,000. That same coin, according to market analysts, would likely bring over $400,000 if it went to auction today. But the $55,000 question, actually the $556,000 question, is where that higher number comes from. In late 2023, a prominent error dealer offered a standing bounty of $556,000 for any mint state example of this specific error that also exhibits a third anomaly, a die crack through Roosevelt's eye, known in the community as the ghost scar. Only one coin has ever been found with all three errors: double die, repunched mint mark, and the ghost scar die crack. That coin is the Holy Grail, and it has never been publicly auctioned. The $556,000 figure is the standing offer from a private collector who wants to complete his set. So the value is real. The money is waiting. The only thing missing is the coin. Let me pause here again. I want you to imagine something. Imagine you go to your bank tomorrow. You ask for a box of dimes. $25, 250 coins. You take them home, you spread them on a white towel, and you examine each one under a magnifying glass. Most boxes will give you nothing but pocket change. But one box in a million, maybe less, will contain the 1999p error. And if you are that person, your life changes in an instant. No stock market risk, no real estate commission, no lottery taxes. Just a 10-cent piece of metal that the mint accidentally made perfect. That is the dream that drives every serious coin roll hunter. And it is not fantasy. In 2019, a man in Ohio found a 1999 P double die dime in a roll from his local credit union. He paid 10 cents. He sold it for $48,000 after grading. $48,000 from a single roll. That same man is still looking. Because once you see the potential, you cannot unsee it. Now, let me bring some urgency into the conversation. The market for error coins is heating up faster than any time since the 1980s. Why? Two reasons. First, the rise of high-resolution smartphone photography has allowed everyday collectors to discover and share errors instantly. Social media groups dedicated to mint errors have exploded from a few thousand members to over 100,000 in just 3 years. Second, the major grading services are now using artificial intelligence and high-magnification imaging to identify previously overlooked varieties. Coins that were dismissed as damaged or worn are being re-examined and certified. And as more people learn about the 1999p Roosevelt dime, more examples will be pulled from circulation. That means the window of opportunity is closing. Every day that you ignore your change jar, someone else is checking theirs. Every coin that gets spent at a fast food restaurant is a coin that might never be seen again. The time to act is now. But let me be clear. You should not expect to find this coin. The odds are astronomical. That is the honest truth. But you should know that it exists. You should know that for the cost of a magnifying glass and a few hours of your time, you can participate in one of the last great treasure hunts in American numismatics. And even if you never find the $56,000 dime, or the $556,000 dime, you will find other errors. You will find clip planchets. You will find off-center strikes. You will find die breaks and cuds and RPMs that sell for hundreds or thousands of dollars. The 1999p is just the crown jewel. The hunt itself is the reward. So here is your call to action. Do not wait. Do not assume that your coins are ordinary. Go to your bank tomorrow morning. Ask for $10 in dimes. Get a magnifying glass, a simple 10 power loop from any hobby store, and start looking. Look at every 1999p you find. Look at the letters. Look at the mint mark. Look for the ghost of a second impression. And if you see something unusual, do not clean it. Do not rub it. Do not spend it. Put it in a protective sleeve and send it to a grading service. Because that 10-cent coin might just be the payday that changes everything. Before I let you go, I want to tell you about an even rarer coin. A coin that makes the 1999p Roosevelt dime look common. A coin with only 3 known examples, all hiding in plain sight. Next week, we're going to reveal the most valuable error in modern American coinage. A A coin that's sold for over $1.8 million and that you could still find in a Coinstar machine tomorrow. Subscribe to this channel right now. Hit the notification bell, because the person who finds that coin is probably watching this video today. And I want it to be you.